Sir Peter, you received your knighthood from Prince William. Can you talk us through how that felt for you?
Well, it was a very enjoyable day. I was in London with my wife and all my children, uh, and they came to the palace, and so it was a very special family day. And indeed, it was a very enjoyable and rewarding day in other senses too. You know, it's the final swan song of my chief ministerial career. This is an award for that. It's an award that I owe to the generosity of the people of Gibraltar for having elected me and trusted me with the governance of this community for 4 successive terms. I think that's what the knighthood was for. So, in the end, it's thanks to my fellow citizens that I have this. I mean, just being at the palace. The palace is a great place. The ballroom and the through the grand entrance, it's a very special place to visit, and it makes it particularly memorable. So we thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a very special day, which I will always remember and treasure.
You were knighted, of course, by the Duke of Cambridge, Prince William, and you were able to speak to him for a short while. What was said between you?
Well, I'm not a great fan of revealing private conversations, but suffice it to say that His Royal Highness was extremely interested in the situation in Gibraltar, and in the 2 or 3 minutes that you have on these occasions, I filled him in on the obvious current issues that are concerning all Gibraltarians, and he was very interested and I think a little bit concerned to learn of them.
You said this was perhaps the swan song of your time as Chief Minister. Are you definitely retiring from politics at the end of this term?
Yes, I think. I mean, I've had a long political career. I've had a huge privilege. It's not the sort of block that you go around twice. I've handed over to my successor. I've announced that I will not be contesting the next elections, and that is my position. So I have whatever is left of this term as a parliamentarian.
Politics can be a difficult game. It can also be a dirty one, of course. To what do you attribute your longevity?
Look, I don't know what I attribute. I mean, I can speculate myself, but of course I don't know why people chose. I suppose it was ultimately because they thought that on balance, and I know that a lot of people rightly think that I got some things wrong. You can't be in office 16 years and not get many things wrong, and I have no doubt that I did. But I think on balance, people acknowledged that we did a relatively good job. Gibraltar was prosperous, peaceful, secure. There was stability. People felt safe and secure, not anxious. And I think people valued the peace and tranquility that brought in its wake. For my part, I always tried to have 2 qualities at the core of my political performances. I mean, I didn't seek popularity, I didn't court popularity. People had elected me to do a job, and doing that job effectively was more important to me than what people thought of me on any particular Thursday afternoon of any particular week of a 4-year term. Leadership is about leading, whether what you've got to do at the time is popular or unpopular. It means saying yes when you can and saying no when you can't, and of having a vision for Gibraltar, the medium and long-term destinations of which may require you, in your judgment, honestly made, in the interests of your community, to do things that a lot of people may not like at the time. So that, and also sincerity. I always said it to people as it was. I think people grew to trust me when I said something. It was true and real. I never exaggerated. I never sought to cover my tracks. When I made a mistake, I admitted it. So I've always, sort of real leadership, however difficult it might be and however unpopular it might be, not courting popularity for its own sake, and sincerity. And those were the 2 ingredients that I tried to make my political omelette out of. And it was a successful, people obviously appreciated it for at least 4 terms. Not quite enough of them appreciated it for a 5th term, but that's fair enough.
And finally, the party you led for some 20 years has introduced a new constitution. What do you make of that?
I think it's fine. I think political parties, look, it was always my goal as leader of the GSD, that the GSD should not just be a political vehicle for my own political aspirations, that it should be a political force beyond me, regardless of me, and so it has turned out to be. Political parties, like any organization, need to renovate, need to change, to reflect changing attitudes, changing people. And I think it's right that they should look at the Constitution, which is still the Constitution that was established when the party was founded in 1990, I beg your pardon. And it's right that they should look at it, and that if they want to inject more internal democracy and change the way people are elected and committees are elected, I think times have changed in the last 20 years in democratic societies in terms of the internal democracy, and that's fine, and I think I'm glad they've done it. I've not had any input into it myself, but if the current leadership and the executive are happy with it, then I think that's good for the party and good for the workings of democracy in Gibraltar.